Can you imagine? The National Conference Nigeria keeps refusing to have. These groups agree on almost nothing. Different regions, different histories, different grievances, different ideas about what Nigeria should be. But for decades, they have kept arriving at the same conclusion. Nigeria needs to have a serious conversation with itself. Not a protest, not a crisis meeting, not another committee whose report disappears into a drawer. A structured, honest, nationally constituted conversation about how this country is actually governed. Some call it restructuring, some call it true federalism, some call it a national conference. Whatever the name, the call has been coming from every direction, and every government hears it, then moves on. So this episode asks one question: what if this time we did not? Nigeria's governance structure was not designed for the Nigeria we live in today. It was designed by the British, a colonial administration on its way out the door. A country of hundreds of ethnic groups, hundreds of languages, different histories, different laws, different economies, and different fears is being forced to function as though one center can understand everything, control everything, and solve everything. So every group fights for the center. Because the center controls the revenue, the security, the land, the appointments, the contracts. Instead of building your region, you fight for your share of Abuja. And that fight has shaped much of our politics since independence. This is not just bad leadership, it is bad architecture. The world already understands something Nigeria keeps avoiding. Diverse countries do not survive by pretending everyone is the same. Switzerland has multiple languages and strong cantons. India reorganized its states around language and identity, yet remains one country. Germany gives its states real power and still runs one of the world's strongest economies. Canada allows Quebec to preserve its language, law, and identity inside one federation. The lesson is simple. Unity does not require sameness. Sometimes, unity survives because difference is properly managed. Nigeria has never truly done that. But let us be honest. Restructuring is not magic. It comes with real trade-offs. Some states depend heavily on federal allocation. Some cannot currently fund strong local security. Some have weak tax bases. Some have avoided hard economic decisions for decades. So no serious national conference should pretend that everything changes overnight. It must negotiate a transition. A clear timeline, 3 to 5 years, a fair formula, and a gradual shift from dependency to responsibility. Because the truth is this: federal allocation has not guaranteed development. Almost a third of Nigerian states have youth literacy rates below 40%, yet the money has been arriving for decades. Centralized security has not guaranteed safety. 13,346 Nigerians have been killed since 2023, and the allocation itself is already shrinking. Federation revenue fell from over 2 trillion naira in late 2025 to under 1.6 trillion naira by early 2026. The question is not whether change will be difficult. The question is whether staying exactly where we are is still working. Every part of Nigeria has something to build with. The north has agriculture, solid minerals, solar energy, and land. Zamfara State alone has enough gold in its ground to fund its own government many times over. Right now, armed groups are mining and smuggling that gold illegally. A properly licensed mining sector converts that theft into tax revenue. The north also has the highest solar irradiation in Nigeria. A developed solar energy sector does not just power the north, it sells electricity southward. And what leaves Kano today as a raw tomato should leave tomorrow as a finished product, packaged and sold at 3 times the price. The Southeast has one of the strongest commercial cultures on the continent. The South-South has oil, gas, ports, and the case for true environmental accountability. The Middle Belt has the food basket of the nation. Benue State alone is one of Nigeria's largest yam producers. Yet most of that yam leaves the state raw, and the processing, the packaging, and the profit happen somewhere else. An agro-processing corridor in Benue keeps that value in Benue and turns a farming state into an exporting state. The Southwest has Lagos, industry, technology, finance, and a long history of internally driven development. Every zone has a path, but the current structure teaches too many states to wait. Wait for allocation, wait for approval, wait for Abuja. A better structure would force a better question. What can each part of Nigeria become when it is responsible for more of its own future? The monthly allocation is not security. It is a substitute for ambition. And every month it arrives, it delays the conversation about what each part of this country could actually become. This is not about breaking Nigeria apart. It is about asking whether Nigeria can finally make room for itself. One country, many ways.
The process does not have to be complicated. First, the President establishes a National Dialogue Commission. Second, every geopolitical zone nominates equal representation. Elected leaders, traditional voices, civil society, youth, women, professionals, and the private sector. Third, the mandate is specific: fiscal federalism, resource control, revenue sharing, state responsibilities, transition timelines. Fourth, the sessions are public, time-bound, and live-streamed. 6 months. Published agenda. Documented votes. No mystery. Fifth, the recommendations go directly to the National Assembly for constitutional action, not to another shelf, not to another archive, to the place where law is made. And implementation must be monitored publicly. Quarterly reports, clear milestones, no hiding place. But the president bold enough to call this conference and see it through becomes the president with a legacy no successor can touch.
Can you imagine a Niger Delta community seeing oil revenue become roads, clinics, and clean water? Can you imagine the Southeast, a people who carried Biafra in their memory for 50 years and who are still one of the most commercially gifted people on this continent, finally with a port, a rail line, and a federal presence that matches what they have already built with their own hands? Can you imagine Nigeria no longer arguing only about which region gets the presidency, but about which state has the best schools, the safest communities, the strongest economy, the most accountable leaders? Can you imagine?